Hello, my beautiful mommies. Welcome back. Today, I'm going to share a little bit more about my journey into learning about masculine and feminine energy. So I want to share a little bit more of my background and then kind of go into what really resonated with me and what I started to realize that was true for me in my journey. And so growing up, I was much more of a tomboy. In my experience, being feminine, and maybe this is just because I was of the 80s generation, but being feminine was being weak, being silly, being ridiculous, gossiping, having, lots of drama and all of these things. And I didn't really value these things. And so I started to go more to the masculine energy side and be more of a tomboy. I was more into sports, athletics. I did gymnastics. So I was all about, programs, structures, getting things done, achieving, and valuing all of these things. And so one thing that I started to learn, though, through learning more about feminine energy is that what I was seeing at the time was more wounded feminine than healed feminine energy. And there's a difference. And I'll do another video on that. But today I just kind of want to go through my journey and share just kind of the key things that really stood out for me and in my life. So spent most of my time, being a tomboy, being feminine, somehow almost didn't feel safe. I also very much disconnected from my body. So I was what they call numb from the neck down. And I talked to a lot of women and moms that were of the 80s generation. And it's funny that we all have a very similar experience. But just, that being disconnected and being numb from the neck down and just not in tune with our whole self, right? Just very focused on the outcome-oriented doing. And so I also want to mention, I very still much value my masculine energy side. It saved me in so many ways. And I was the queen of to-do lists as well, right? I think at any time, I had at least 20 things on my to-do list at all times. And it's funny, I remember even after college, when my sister would come to visit for Christmas, one of the things we loved to do was to go to the mall and yes, go get a Starbucks and do what? Sit down and write out our checklists. That was like a celebrated thing in my family that we loved to do on the holidays. And so that gives you some idea. But spent my early childhood and then into college in my 20s, I started to get a little bit more feminine on the outside, as far as dressing a little bit more feminine, but I was still very much coming from a masculine energy place, right? It was harsher. I was not soft. I was driven. I was all about getting things done, pushing myself, pushing my body, right? I mean, even at times throughout my career, I would celebrate that I worked 60 hours, that I would have a 60-hour work week. I celebrated that. And just understanding that men and people who have more masculine energy from a biological standpoint tend to have more testosterone, and they can handle pushing and the physical a lot more than people who have more feminine energy, or maybe you're 50-50. I feel like I'm 50-50, to be honest. I'm starting to and enjoy accessing more of my feminine energy. So I'm working on getting more to like 60 to 70% in my feminine energy, and then the rest in my masculine. But all the assessments that I've taken and all of the education and studies I've done on it, I was very much 50-50. I was kind of in the middle. And so, going through childhood, tomboy, then going through college, becoming a little bit more feminine on the outside, but still on the inside, having a very strong, healthy masculine energy side. And then into my 30s, becoming a mom of baby. When I was pregnant, and I think I spoke about this in the previous video, when I was pregnant, that really was kind of an awakening for me, because it forced me to reconnect with my body in a way that I had never done before, and to pay attention to my body. Growing a life, you're very much more connected. While being pregnant started to awaken me to feminine energy, then when I had the baby, that threw me back into my masculine, right? Because now it's all about the baby's routine, the schedule. Are they sleeping enough? Are they eating enough? Tracking progress. What are the milestone markers? Are they hitting the milestone markers, right? So still getting back into that, where I felt very comfortable, that overactive masculine side. But the difference was, one, I was older. I was in my 30s, not in my 20s anymore. Two, I had a baby. So different hormones are being released. I'm not getting as much sleep. So while I could push my body back in the day, and I could recover and keep going and push through, slowly learning the hard way that I could no longer push my body the way I had done before. And I could do it, but I ran my body into the ground. That did not serve me. That didn't serve my baby. That didn't serve my relationship. Oh my gosh, getting thrown back into my masculine, I very much, almost became the provider and protector of the baby in my mind, because I was the one at home taking care of the baby throughout the day while my partner was at work. My partner, while he's at work, in his mind, he's the provider and protector, right? He's the one that's going out and, bringing in the income. And so it's interesting, when he would come home, I would very much be in my masculine energy. I would be in my providing and my protecting. He's in his providing and protecting. And we just started to compete, right? We started to almost repel each other. And I think this is just my theory. I do think that this is one of the reasons why parents struggle in that first year, because it gets very confusing. A lot of times the baby needs the mom. And so even if the partner can help, you're still on deck. You don't always get as many breaks. You're definitely not getting the breaks that you used to back just in your career before having a baby. And so this can very much get couples into trouble, and it can start, at least in my marriage, it started to build resentment and frustration on both sides. My partner had resentment and frustration to me because he felt like I wasn't valuing all of, the work he was doing and being the sole income provider. And I didn't feel like he was valuing me and, valuing all the things that I was doing and bringing to the table with taking care of the baby, and not only providing and protecting, which, in my mind, my husband is viewing it as, I'm nurturing, but in my mind, I felt like I was the provider and protector, right? So definitely going through this muddled up kind of experience and view of us both being in very strong masculine energy. And it got to be very stressful. I actually fell into feminine energy learning through my masculine side. And that was, I started researching, how to save time as a mother, time-saving tips, how to organize your home better as a mother, how to, it was a lot of how-to videos, right? Very much doing. When I first started hearing about feminine energy, I was thinking of the wounded feminine that I, had viewed and experienced early growing up. And I was like, oh, that's not for me. And getting triggered when I would hear about feminine energy. But I started to hear more about differences between wounded feminine energy and healed feminine energy. And this is when the light bulb really started to come on for me. It took me 3 years of listening to masculine and feminine energy before I could hear it, truly, honestly hear it without having any judgment, any rejection, any resistance, well, that's not true, right? Because I'd spent most of my life in masculine energy. And being able to hear it without being triggered. And so The best analogy that I've heard, and I'm just going to touch on kind of the pieces that resonated with me the most, and I'll dive into this a little bit more in future videos, but the best analogy, if you haven't heard of masculine and feminine energy, is the idea that masculine energy is the riverbed, while the water is the water flow. That's the feminine energy. And I'm not talking male versus female, so please, I know this is what I heard when I first heard it. I'm not talking male versus female. I'm talking about masculine energy versus feminine energy. And if this isn't resonating with you yet, hang in there with me just a little bit more, and I'm going to be sharing more into what I'm talking about. But the riverbed is the masculine energy. It's the structure, right? It is the thing that holds the water. It's kind of a container in a way, right? And the feminine energy is the water flow. It is the nourishment. It is the ease. It is the kind of surrendering and going with the flow. One thing that I've heard and that I speak about is, and I've spoken to my husband about this, is imagine we're both trying to be the riverbed, right? What's the point in being a riverbed if there's no water flow? If we're only valuing the riverbed and the masculine energy side, how is there going to be any nourishment? How is there going to be any ease? And so different ways of looking at masculine energy versus feminine energy. Masculine energy is more of the doing, whereas feminine energy is more of the being, more of the embodiment, being in your body. Masculine energy is more focused on being productive and efficient. It values and honors this, and there's a reason for it. Whereas feminine energy values pleasure. Masculine energy values time management. Are we on time? How long is it going to take? When are things going to be done, right? Versus feminine energy focuses more on timelessness. Are we enjoying ourselves? Like when you're on vacation and you don't even know what day it is, right? Or what time it is. You're really in your feminine energy flow. And we have both. And again, I very much honor both the masculine energy side of myself and the feminine energy side. And I've also learned how to honor my partner being more in his masculine energy and me starting to experiment and embody and connect and bring to the household and the home more of the feminine energy pieces. Because again, what's the point in having a riverbed if you don't have any water flow? All right, I hope this is helpful. I look forward to talking more on this fun topic that has changed my life. It's changed the way I parent. It's changed the way I interact with my kids. It's changed the way I interact with my friends. And it's changed the way I interact with my partner. And it's also allowed me to reconnect with myself. So if you are someone who has previously been in their overactive masculine energy, which again, I love that side of myself. There would be chaos if I did not have any structures or any containers myself. But let's say that you are 80% in your masculine energy, 20% your feminine, and you're wanting to rebalance a little bit more. And be maybe more 50% in your masculine and 50% in your feminine, and you're just wanting to learn more about feminine energy. If you have previously been 80% masculine energy, 20% feminine, but you're wanting to shift that and really do more of a transformation, and you are interested in seeking out information and how to be more in your core essence space. I'm looking forward to sharing my journey and things and challenges that I ran into and how I overcame them. I'm very much looking forward to talking more on this topic. I really do believe it's time for the feminine, and we were in the masculine, and there was a reason for that. I do believe that there's a movement around the feminine starting to heal itself. One thing that I realized is that my partner cannot rescue me. My partner cannot heal me. It's my job to heal myself. And I have one of my messages that I stand by is that I want every mom on the planet to be awakened, to be activated, to reconnect with your body, to reconnect with the feminine energy side of yourself, however much you choose to, right? There's no right or wrong way here. It's just what feels good to you and what do you desire. But I want every mom on the planet to be awakened to heal herself. And I'm looking because I'm reading this real quick. And I wasn't going to mention this yet, but it's one of the messages and I just felt called to mention it because I am going to be talking about this. For women who are no longer going to wait for a man to rescue you, I very much at times throughout my life thought, okay, well, when I get a partner, then my life is going to be great because then I'm going to have this person to help with and have experiences with. Yes, that's true. But I also came with wounds and I came with, my life experiences and things that I needed to heal. And so, I thought that if someone will rescue me, then things will be better. We have wounds and we are the only ones, I believe, that can heal those wounds. No one else can heal those for us. And so, no ma'am, we are no longer going to do that. We are going to rise up and we are going to heal ourselves. I hope you're enjoying this content. If you're interested, definitely check out some more of my videos and I look forward to catching you in the next one. Bye.